Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from The Federalist. This is dated September 17th. It says, anyone who blames both sides after Charlie Kirk's murder is a liar and a coward. And it still kind of sucks going through, X feeds and seeing him pop up and, his picture is there and just thinking, man, what did they take from us? This is unity with people who hate us and want us dead is suicide. So it's another one of these articles. I know I did one just a few days ago, but I'm doing it again, okay? It says, I'd like to see the nation heal, but we're dealing with a radical left group of lunatics and they don't play fair and they never did, President Donald Trump told NBC News. And the author says, a member of my extended family posted a reel on Instagram immediately after Charlie Kirk's assassination in which he wrote, he had it coming. Charlie Kirk was a monster. So this person's never listened to Charlie Kirk, I would imagine. Says this is a person who spends all day posting reels about how Trump is an evil fascist Nazi Hitler and prays that he dies soon. So not a very good family member. I'm sorry about that. Says an old friend of my family said this to one of my siblings moments after Kirk's murder. Said good. Now there's one less of them to deal with. So another piece of shit. Says does that mean he wants my sibling and me shot dead too? And the answer to that question would actually be yes, as hard as it is to swallow to think that. Says that would be two less of them to deal with. I'm supposed to want unity with people like this? I'd rather have them stay at least 50 yards away from my property. And now the official party of wanton assassination, which we call OPWA, is busy making the case that there is extreme political violence on both sides. Immediately after the shooting, buffoonish Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and Elizabeth Warren marched out to the microphones with convoluted messages about coming together and stopping violence on both sides. By now, the drumbeat of both-sidesism in the aftermath of Kirk's assassination has become a cacophony. Both-sidesism is what I am calling the irresistible urge for morally corrupt politicians on both sides and journalists to lay half the blame for Kirk's brutal murder at the feet of the right. In fact, the worst both-siders, even worse than the sneering Democrats who can barely contain their glee that Kirk is dead, even as they scold us for not being interested in unity, are sniveling Republicans and so-called conservatives. There are monsters in your midst, too, intoned in the New York Times' David French, who persists in claiming to be conservative, and he was also referenced in the article from a few days ago, too. It says, as proof, they will present their list of right-wing violent attacks. To give this bare-bones list more heft, they will go as far back as the Oklahoma City bombing as that cretinous GOP Senator James Lankford did on CNN. Lankford even had the gall to open his interview with Dana Bash by bringing up white supremacy. On Fox and Friends, Ainsley Earhardt tried to bait Trump into conceding that there are extremists on the right, too. And thank God he refused to take it. I mean, there are, but they're, basically harmless. I mean, what you're going to call the Groypers? They're basically like an online thing. Yeah, their views are extreme, and I'm not a fan of them in any way, shape, or form. But they don't, go out and actually take action on the things that they say online. Who else is there? Says this outrageous formulation must be crushed into dust immediately. There is no moral equivalency. The both-siders are on the wrong side. Says, why are both-siders wasting time blaming the right after a vicious murder committed by a leftist? Shouldn't they be vociferously defending the innocent? And the answer is that they're cowards. They are too scared to call out Democrats for creating, supporting, and ignoring the evil that has taken root in their party. Instead of courageously calling out their friends, colleagues, co-workers, and media allies, these pathetic Republican both-siders will spout long lists of examples of right-wing political violence. This allows them to avoid doing what has to be done, laying bare the left's deep hatred of conservatives that has been allowed to fester for decade after decade. By insisting that both sides are guilty of violence, they are giving the vicious left a way out. It's a lifeline, a magical force field that immediately exonerates them. Democrats can then neatly avoid having to address the malevolent violence and hatred in so many of their voters. When it's both sides, you get to escape accountability. When it's both sides, the guilty get to escape a hard look in the mirror. And just to belabor the point, here is why nearly everyone on the right is so united about political violence as a left-wing problem. First, Matt Walsh posted a short list of all the left-wing violence the right has had to endure in just the past few years. And yeah, he has, I figured if I ran over this, it would be his X feed where he put the BLM riots, Antifa, church shootings, Trump assassination attempt, there are two of them, pro-life pregnancy center fires, Tesla vandalism, attacks against ICE agents, attacks against police, and attacks against federal courthouses. And the author says, allow me to add to this, multiple transgender shootings and threats by transgender activists, Plus, don't any of these both-siders remember that our cities turned into a nightly war zone of fires, shootings, and Molotov cocktails from 2020 to 2021? Yeah, people tend to kind of forget about that, and in a lot of these supposed official reports that come out, I said this on my Monday video, that they have all the Black Lives Matter protests aren't even on the list. Okay? So it's well, you can't have a list of things when the largest acts of left-wing political violence, of which there were hundreds of them, just aren't on it. It got so bad outside the White House that the president had to be moved to a secure location. Oh, I remember that. Was it May 28th or 29th? I know Tim Pool calls it, I think, the May, whatever date it was, the May 29th insurrection. I remember that. I remember when that happened. And then they made fun of Trump for having to go to, what did it say here, with a secure location. It says, don't forget punch a Nazi and punch a turf rhetoric either. Yes, men who identify as transgender, some of the most violent of the various Democrat shock troops, have attacked women as turfs or trans-exclusionary radical feminists for years. Yeah, go ahead and see what they're doing to J.K. Rowling. And we endure plenty of ancillary political violence. It was left-wing violence that forced Kyle Rittenhouse into a trial for self-defense. It was left-wing violence that forced Daniel Penny, because there is a Daniel Perry. It was left-wing violence that forced Daniel Penny into a trial for being a hero. It was left-wing violence that wrecked countless statues, monuments, and businesses. It was left-wing violence that forced every right-wing anon on X to use a pseudonym, a Proton email, and a track phone to avoid doxing by maniacs. It's an old cliche by now, but everyone knows you can't wear a MAGA hat in a blue city. Everyone knows you might get assaulted, killed, or at the very least be screamed at, I almost said screamed on, I think I combined the words there. You'd be screamed at, spit on, or have your car keyed. Conservatives in LA are careful never to put political stickers on their cars or hang Trump flags on their homes. Yeah, I've never put political stickers on my car because I'm no matter where you go, someone might do something to it, so I'm just not even going to risk that. Because if you do, you're risking death, violence, and swatting. If you wore a Kamala or Hillary hat in a red city, all you would get are eye rolls. This has been the case for a decade now. Democrats have never been asked to explain this. Everyone accepts this as just a part of life in blue cities where there is zero tolerance for political differences. When I worked at Disney, the author, not me, Jason, I've never worked at Disney, I endured daily conversations where my coworkers would discuss how they hoped Trump would die soon, how dumb and evil conservatives were, how Trump was an actual Russian spy who needed to be arrested, and how if they ever met a Trump voter, they would punch her in the face. And there I was, walking to Starbucks with them or eating lunch with them in the commissary. I would wonder what they would do to me if they knew I had voted for Trump, and I still wonder. This fear of coworkers, by the way, is still the norm, years later, at nearly every large corporation in the country. All my friends and family who work at these places live in abject terror, even now, that they will be exposed as right-wing. Why is this okay? How have we just accepted this as how America has to operate? If people at companies are getting fired for being happy Kirk is dead, does that mean closet conservatives can finally be themselves at the office? Would be nice, but I doubt that's going to happen. You probably still have to be a little discerning. It says if both-sidesism is not rooted out, then we can't address the real root cause of this violence. Insane levels of propaganda by the media, leftist influencers, and celebrities that have slandered Christians, Republicans, and white people as irredeemably evil, racist, homophobic bigots. Both-sidesism is the shield they hide behind so they never have to repent. People who think like this cannot be allowed in positions of power over us ever again. A significant chunk of the Democrat Party lusts for the death of people like Trump, his voters, me, and my family. To them, we are the obstacle blocking them from entering their leftist paradise. Feminist dish rag magazine Jezebel, which is a communist rag, by the way, even hired Etsy witches to curse Charlie Kirk. Just because they don't wear the cute green headbands and suicide vests doesn't mean they don't wish the same outcome on all our heads. Therefore, if you are a bull-sider, you are on the wrong side. For our own physical safety, we have no choice but to treat you as giving aid and comfort to those who want more bloodshed. And to the performative calls for unity, coming from the most egregious parts of the right, like best supporting Senator Katie Britt, shame on you. Britt delivered an embarrassing call for unity and peace while Kirk's body was still at the morgue, and he, as of this recording, he hasn't even been buried yet. It says, unity with people who hate us and want us dead is suicide. Right now, we need unity against the forces of darkness. Let Charlie Kirk's spirit be a light to us in dark places when all other lights have gone out. Yeah, I mean, you saw this coming up after Charlie was killed, and it's just no, there's not going to be unity. You can't have unity with people who want to kill you. You just can't. And I agree with all the people saying no unity, because that's how I feel right now. Let me know if you agree, and let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.